All right, everyone. So now we're gonna take a look at how to install MongoDB on Ubuntu Linux, and this will be the same for WSL on Windows running Ubuntu Linux, and if you're dual booting into the desktop version, the GUI version of Ubuntu. Now, it has been mentioned before. To make sure that your versions are correct of Ubuntu that you're running. We have a couple main versions right now. 20.04, 22.04, and 24.04. Basically, think of it like the version of the operating system. Now, 24.04 is the newest version of Ubuntu Linux that's out right now. It has been very buggy since its release this year. There's been lots of problems with it. If you want to go down that rabbit hole, you can search Ubuntu 24.04 bugs and enjoy. 22.04 is the one that I am running, and is the one what we recommend right now. And if you go back to the handout, you'll see how to check the version. You'll see how to make sure that the version is the one that you need. I'll quickly check mine here. And you can see here that I am running 22.04 long-term release, essentially. So the great power of Linux is that it gives you lots of power to do anything with it. You really have full control. And also, the scary thing about Linux is because you have full control, lots of things can go wrong, and often they do go wrong. So follow the directions that you have in the PDF, but I will also go through with you on how I would install just a fresh version of MongoDB on my system. So I just have a blank on this laptop. I just have a blank version of WSL. And if I go and check if I have this installed, basically by version, not found. Okay, so the directions are taken directly from essentially the MongoDB website. Their official documentation and their official directions. So I'm not going to be typing in a lot of these things here. I'll be pasting that in. This is the same as in the handout. It's just to give you more of a visual interpretation and visualization of how this works. So without further ado, this is going to go back onto my screen. So I am already running 22.04. I'm all good with that. Now the first step is to make sure the curl is installed, because we're going to need to get something. For me, it is already installed, but I'll just go through this step, and it just told me that basically, okay, you already have it, you don't need it. The next thing I need to do is get the MongoDB's public GPG key, and let's take a look at it here. Now, this is subject to change as new versions come out. Always look for the long-term release, essentially not the newest one. So like if, let's say, like if you would go to the MongoDB site and you would go down to install on Ubuntu, it will give you the long-term support version. So the versions can change, and so will these keys. Now they're generally backwards compatible, the keys. So like if right now it says 8.0 and the previous one is like, let's say 6.0, and the next one maybe in a week is gonna be 8.5, and then in the month it's gonna be 9.0. They're generally backwards compatible, but just keep that in mind. So I'm gonna grab this, and again, I'm just gonna paste that in here, and I'll run this. And for me, it already exists. because I tested it to make sure it exists. But all right. What does this do? Well, we need to, as I said before, we have a lot of power using Linux. We can install lots of things. Basically, we have access to the whole system. It's not like we, clicking on Microsoft Store, Apple Store, and installing whatever they have, published in their, respective app stores. We can install pretty much anything. It's up to us. But at the same time, because we can install pretty much anything, we can also install some malicious software. So this key is essentially makes like a two-way communication that says, okay, whatever we're about to get and install is trusted. So this is good. This is not something that's like very, 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 very weird, very sketchy. So that's important, because when we pull from this repository to install MongoDB, my Ubuntu operating system needs to say, okay, is this safe? Yes. Okay, I will then grab it. Now, next we will create the list file. Now this is where it's also very, very, very important. In the directions, in the PDF directions, there is a specific one that you need to paste in. And again, this is where it's important that everybody is on the same version, right? So we've established that I'm running 22.04 on Ubuntu. If you're running 24.04, you're gonna have a different one. Click on it here. If you're running 20.04, you're gonna have a different one, essentially. So I am running 22.04. So I'm selecting this. Now I'm copying again because I don't want to type this out. And in fact, if I try to type this out, it's just gonna be a mess. And I will run that in. Again, it seems like nothing's happening, but things are happening behind the scenes. Things are happening behind the scenes, and errors are not being thrown. So let me clear this up, and let's go to the next step. Now, what we need to do, and again, same as in the directions, is reload our package database. We added some information to our package manager, to our apt, the Ubuntu package manager. So it needs to understand that we have new things there, essentially. So I'm going to run this command here, and again, it's in the handout, and I'm running that, and it's going to update everything. Notice something here. I've added releases from MongoDB. So it says, okay, now we are connected. At least now I know that you exist, essentially. Okay, and now we're ready to install. We're ready to install the release. And again, let's take a look back even at their installation directions. So by default, this command will get you the latest stable release, right? The specific release, you can go and grab the specific release. Latest stable release is usually good. Usually. In this case, it's good. So we'll copy that in. And again, you can copy that in from the PDF handout, whatever. It doesn't matter. And we will run that through. And this might take a little bit, depending on your internet connection, depending on the system that you have. It will take a little bit to run through everything. Just remember, make sure you are using the sudo command, the super user command, because you are modifying, you're essentially going into your Ubuntu operating system. Okay, and seems like everything is more or less going through. So let's take a look if it's running. So I'll go sudo systemctl status and MongoDB essentially. And we don't have anything yet. It says inactive essentially. Okay, well, that's fine. It's inactive. So we need to start it, right? So I will exit out. And now I have sudo systemctl ctl start MongoD. All right. Now, we're not really sure what just happened. It ran something, right? It ran something, command ran. We didn't really get an error, so we'll go back to the previous command. And now we see that it's running. Loaded, active, meaning that our MongoDB server, which will be serving the MongoDB databases, is running on this time, whatever. It's going to keep running. Essentially, it's going to keep running, going to keep running until we exit out of here or tell it to stop, essentially. And then when we go back here, we'll start it up again. Again, lots of these specific commands. Like the Power Linux is the Power Linux, but it's not for the faint-hearted. Now, speaking about that, the power end of Linux and when things go wrong. So now this is done for now, but let's take a look next in another video. What happens when things go wrong and how we can kind of troubleshoot it. Because some of these error messages can be very cryptic, especially for beginners. And it's possible to get lost very quickly, but it's also possible to troubleshoot and at least get an idea of what is going wrong and how to approach this error if something goes wrong. So we'll take a look at that next.